Hi, today I want to get personal and share some of my experiences. I want to let you know how much I understand just some of the challenges people are facing and why I want you to know about the work Hardy Nutritionals has accomplished and the importance of a product named Daily Essential Nutrients. Mental health and other central nervous system disorders can seem to run in family lines. I was once told by a scientist when my family was being studied as part of the 2003 Autism Genome Project that all central nervous system disorders were genetic cousins of each other. As we looked at my family lines and history, it really caused me to reflect about what this has cost us through the generations. How having Parkinson's, epilepsy, manic depression, autism, ADHD, anxiety disorders, sensory processing issues has really affected relationships, career dreams, standard of living, how society treated them. I think about the cost of ignorance or the lack of charity and compassion, the cost when honest research is hidden for more profitable answers. What's the cost when laws are passed that knowingly allow harmful chemicals into our food and environment? The impact of epigenetic changes that happen in someone's DNA because of severe trauma and how that change is being passed on to future generations. Generations of loved ones exploring healthy and unhealthy ways to cope with pain and misunderstanding. Well, the cost has been and can be great. Historically, society and governments, acting under a variety of inaccurate beliefs, decided to institutionalize, lobotomize, and sterilize countless numbers of people who did not fit into what is deemed normal. Marriages and families who have and still today struggle to communicate, to bond, others who feel shame and hide so as not to be judged. My family history has many people that suffered, but in the midst of that pain, they truly tried to help others. My birth father suffered with grand mal epileptic seizures and other mental health issues that left him disabled for most of his adult life. In the 1970s, he was a guinea pig where doctors tested the effects of amphetamines and barbiturates on his brain. If you don't know what that is, that's uppers and downers. So not only did they not affect his seizures, but they damaged his heart. In spite of this, my dad spent his days caring and doing music therapy with his mother and many disabled people who lived in a long-term stroke unit. His mother, my grandmother, suffered with severe manic depression a lot of her life. I've heard that this really prevented a bonding or an emotional closeness with my father. In the late 60s in Canada, she was among the last group to get a lobotomy. I want to tell you, never in the history of this procedure has there been any proof that this was ever effective. Nevertheless, she had the procedure and it made her worse. It left her unable to care for herself, and she lived the rest of her days in a long-term care unit. My father passed away in his early 40s, and then shortly after, my grandmother. I wished that there had been back then other alternatives rather than drugs and surgery. My mother is an amazing woman as well. She had a difficult, painful childhood and struggled herself with anxiety and some other issues. When my younger brother was born in the early 70s, he really had some early health issues and learning disabilities while he was growing up. But there was not a lot of support or knowledge in the 1970s. And so my mom had to figure it out on her own, and she tutored him. Now for me, and I'm not sure what she thought my problem was, but she was inspired to put me in violin lessons, get us in the garden, growing our food, making smoothies, or super drink, as she called it, eating a whole foods diet. She studied homeopathy. She did yoga, meditation, and she tried to teach me. That was a challenge. But she did all this through her own struggles. She was given by well-meaning doctors various medications for her anxiety, which all had disastrous effects on her. When our family moved to Kenya, Africa, for my stepfather's work, my mom worked through her anxieties and volunteered. She made a huge difference for the local artist. There was a Baran village chief who was going blind that she helped. She got him an operation. She even rallied the bored diplomat wives to bring clothes and food to a whole community that got bulldozed to make way for fancy hotels. Amazing. But nevertheless, due to generational trauma, mental health issues, my undiagnosed autism, and other factors, we really struggled for a very long time to connect and bond in a way that I know both myself and she wished for. I wish the knowledge we know now about the brain and autism and mental health and all these things was around in the 70s and 80s. I wish this micronutrient formula was created earlier. I wish that the research on the link between nutritional deficiencies and mental health, known since the 1940s, wasn't hidden away in the back room. But there is always a cost, isn't there? For good or bad. But I wish for people to know that there is hope, especially parents. For the ones who can't get eye contact with their child, or the parent that wishes their child would sit still long enough to have a conversation, or the child that won't let you hug them without screaming, or for the one that hardly sleeps, the child that thinks it's hilarious to take their clothes off in front of other people or run naked into the street laughing as you chase them, praying that your neighbor does not call social services or DCFS on you. How about the child who's always trying to escape and you're embarrassed to have friends over to see the 3 locks that are at the top of the door or alarms set on all the windows and exits? How about the parents that have to hide the knives away, or the child that screams when you don't serve juice in their favorite cup, or the child that is never hungry, never sits still to eat, the food allergies, the food sensitivities, for the parents that wonder if any other child will show up to the birthday party, or wishing other people wouldn't be afraid to visit or have a play date. I'm also speaking to the parents that can't remember having a good night's sleep, wish they could be spontaneous and go on an outing with their family without prepping for 2 hours and packing up the car with every emergency needful item, or go to the park and relax and not be hypervigilant, feeling like you have to scan the park for any potentially hazardous items. To the parents who deal with family members who have no experience with special needs and chastise you that the children just need more discipline, or generally see everything as your fault. To the parents that haven't been on a date in 5 years because no one's willing to babysit. To the single parent who deals with all the fear and worry on their own, has no partner to give them a break or to talk to when it gets really, really hard. Because of the influences of both my parents, when I began to have children that early on were showing signs of not developing normally, and when doctors told me they could not help me with a severe life-threatening constipation other than giving them harmful drugs, I turned to my upbringing and the kitchen and used food to heal what I could. As the diagnosis of autism and ADHD began to descend upon my kids and the internet was still new, I devoted late hours to studying and researching on their behalf. For a season after my marriage fell apart, I went on welfare, I gave up my massage practice, and I devoted my time and my heart to my kids. Did you know that even in the late 1990s, some doctors were still telling moms that autism came from a mother who didn't hug or love their child enough? Through all of this, I had been misdiagnosed for years, and I was struggling being on a variety of medications that were all wrong for me, and they were harming me. One medication made me feel like a zombie, and I couldn't feel anything for my kids. Another gave me hives and was sleepy through the day. And another medication created mania, and I had fantasies and impulses to drive naked to the ferry terminal or jump off the roof of my house. I took myself off that one pretty quick, and when I tried to explain to my psychiatrist it wasn't working, he fired me, essentially. I found out later he was getting kickbacks from the pharmaceutical company for that drug. It was the only drug he was prescribing. It really took having children with their own special needs and my second marriage to finally clue in with what was wrong with me. Helping them healed me. I worked very hard for a long time with what my parents taught me, what I was taught, and I had some partial successes, but it really took many years. When I added this micronutrient that was designed to help with the specific deficiencies people like us have, or if we have inherited inborn errors of metabolism, and yes, I have the MTHFR genetic mutation as well, my healing really went into high gear. This foundation gave my brain the raw materials to do whatever was needed. I don't know all the details, but if you want to see the video of a lobotomized rat brain growing back on this stuff, that will astound you. But here's what changed. I'm no longer anxious in large crowds or noisy places. My moods are stable. I am calmer. I can handle stress a lot better. I can focus, make decisions, and my brain is not driving like Speed Racer anymore. I'm comfortable with making eye contact, and my brain can quiet down the chatter to sleep at night. I have no longer any desire to self-harm, suicidal ideation, binge eating. It's really emotional. I can manage sensory overload. I have good boundaries and know when I need to take a break. Today, I'm finishing my degree in psychology at a 3.97 GPA, which completely unheard of for me. I barely got through high school. There's a lot more things I could add, but thanks to Daily Essential Nutrients, they have really helped me in becoming a better mother, wife, daughter, friend, but I've kind of gone on long enough. I want to thank you for letting me share some of my heart with you today. Please know that I'm here to support and listen. To learn more, go to restorethebrain.com. Thank you.